legends of people with the gift of making music so true. It can conjure spirits from the past and the future.
Hi, my name is Sangeetha and welcome to the Noah Films channel. Today I'm going to be doing a film review of the movie Sinners by Ryan Coogler. Keep in mind there will be a few spoilers in this one.
We've been gone a long time. We back now. You twins? Nah, we cousins.
So this is actually the first film I've seen in cinemas this year, and there are a number of different reasons why I wanted to watch this. And one of the biggest reasons was probably that it's one of the first massive original films that have come out in cinemas in recent years. You know, every time new blockbuster films come out, it always seems like it's a sequel or a remake or based on a video game or something like that. So the fact that it was an original movie and also created by Ryan Coogler, who did the Black Panther films and Fruitvale Station, it was something that I was like, okay, I actually want to watch this. So Sinners is written and directed by Ryan Coogler, and it stars Michael B. Jordan as the Smokestack Twins. And it also features a stellar cast including Haley Steinfeld, Ryan Caton and Jack O'Connell. The film follows twin brothers Smoke and Stack, who return to their hometown in Mississippi to start again and open a music and bar joint. The film actually takes place over one main day, and the brothers invite their little cousin Sammy, who's a really great singer, to come and sing at the bar. But of course, when they get there and they have the grand opening, there's trouble that follows in the way of vampires.
Is y'all better now?
All the different aspects of this film were done very well. The acting, to start off with, was very well done. Michael B. Jordan did such a great job in portraying the two twins that it actually, when I was watching it, it felt like two different people on screen at the same time, which was a great testament to his work on that. And also, all the other cast were very strong in their performances. They suited their characters really well and brought something really interesting to each of their roles. Cinematography-wise, of course, it was beautifully done. It's always really nice to see all different skin tones on screen, lit and captured beautifully. The actor who played Sammy, which was Miles Caton, of course has an incredible voice, and his music was extremely moving in the film. And I did also read up that he actually used to be a backup singer for her, which is incredible. Music was a very central theme to the film in the way of getting the story across. And I remember this one scene where Sammy starts singing in the bar, and I looked around at everybody in the cinema and they were all like entranced watching that scene. Another major thing that was done really well was the cultural aspect. It's showcasing all the cultures of that time. So, you know, it wasn't just the African American people, but it also showcased Asian Americans at that time, which I think is a point that we don't really see represented in that specific time period. And also the use of Irish people in Irish music.
And the trees are sweetly blooming.
I just think overall the team on this film was really strong. So everybody in their different role, you know, whether acting, composing, DOP and directing, of course, it really felt like a cohesive team, and I think that's why the film was done so well, because it felt like everybody was there for their role and everybody was on the same page.
This gift can bring fame and fortune,
Will somebody take me in your eyes?
but it also can pierce the veil between life and death.
This film is full of symbolism. It's something that I noticed throughout the whole time I was watching it. I was picking up all these little different aspects and layers. I went home with my partner Marshall. We were just talking about it till like midnight because there was just so much detail and symbolism, and I actually want to go see the film again because I'm sure there's stuff that I just haven't picked up on. Of course, this is only my opinion, and I think everybody's going to take something different away from it. But what I took away from it as a Christian is the spiritual symbolism in terms of music and how music can be used by the enemy to control the people of this world. The character played by Remick, who was the main vampire. So as of course they're having this opening party and then Sammy starts singing, the way I saw it is Remick was drawn to that place because of hearing Sammy singing and hearing such a beautiful gift.
Oh, we heard tale of a party.
So historically, I think you could take that as an example of how often white people have stripped culture and music from ethnic people and used it for themselves. And I definitely think that's one layer. But for me, I think it went a layer deeper in that Remick really seemed like an embodiment of Lucifer. So Lucifer is often known as the prince of the power of the air, and I think that is why he uses the gift of music to control people and lead them to darkness, because music travels through the airwaves. You know, how many times do we listen to a song on the radio and even if we don't like the song, it just gets in our head and we can't stop thinking about it? I think if you compare this to the world we know today, music is a very dark industry. I think it's run by a lot of darkness, and the fact that it can so easily get in people's head is why it is an industry that I think has specifically been run by the darkness. And I just found it very interesting in the film that when Remick came up to the house and he met with everybody at the front door, he specifically picked out Sammy and was like, you have a beautiful voice. Because if the enemy can get somebody with such a gift like that on their side, imagine the power that they can harness through that. I also found it interesting that when Hayley's character, Mary, went outside to talk to the Irish vampires, and something Remick said to her was, he was basically trying to get into her trauma. He was like, you're hurting, aren't you? And he was basically saying, I can offer you this.
This world already left you for dead. I can save you from your fate.
You don't need no saving.
Yes, you do.
I think so often especially in the entertainment industries, it's so easy to sell your soul. You know, the industry says, look, I can offer you this money and this fame and this power. And it's so easy to get wrapped up in that and be like, okay, yeah, I'll take that. And I think that was a theme that was actually very common throughout the whole film, where through a lot of different characters where they were like, oh, I can offer you this money, I can offer you this. And you kind of have to stop and be like, okay, but what am I sacrificing if I give into that? The way I took the turning into a vampire thing, becoming a vampire was selling your soul. And it was like, once you turn into a vampire, that was it. You were gone. Annie was like, just kill me before I turn because I don't want to end up there. I don't want to end up in the depths of darkness. And it was interesting because at the very end, when you do see Annie again, she's wearing white like the people in the church are. She's got her baby back. It's almost like she went to heaven. When Sammy started reciting the Lord's Prayer, hoping that that would save him. But then Remick started reciting it with him, as did all the other vampires. I think that's a very good example of the fact that we don't realize that Lucifer knows scripture as well. You know, he used to be an angel, so why wouldn't he know that? And it just shows how strong you have to be in your faith to not let him control you, and stronger in not giving into temptation. Because temptation was a big thing in the film. I think a lot of characters gave into that. Specifically, Stack gave into lust when Mary came back as a vampire, and then what happened to him. And I think the symbolism of the color, because, you know, Stack was always in reds and Smoke was always in blues. And I think that's a good indicator of Stack. He was very much giving into these temptations, whereas Smoke was always a bit wiser and he was thinking about things a little more. And then that brings us to the very end of the film when Sammy returns to his father's church. After all of this stuff has happened, after his father warned him don't go there because he knew he would probably get lost and tempted. And then he tells Sammy to put the guitar down. And I think in his father's perspective, in terms of temptation and a darkness in the arts industries, to Sammy's father, the best thing you could do is just let it go and step away. But Sammy couldn't put down the guitar, and I think that was a really relatable moment for me as someone who's in the arts industry. Very spiritual people sometimes think, just let it go, because it's better to not even be in that sphere with all the darkness. But when you've been given a gift for something, you can't let it go. And it felt like this really interesting choice where it was like he could let his gift go and be safe, or he could hold on to it but risk being in the darkness of the industry. That decision wasn't super clear to me, but the end credits scene made it more clear for me. Because here's Sammy, he's now very old, he's done his music, he's had his career, he's had his life. He's managed to keep away from the vampires and be safe from them. And it's interesting, that last part where Michael B. Jordan's vampire character says to Sammy, I can make you live longer. You know, you could have more of this wealth, more of this fame, because you're gonna die soon. So don't you want to keep living and have more of this? Sammy's character was like, no, I think I'm good. It was like him saying no to that temptation because he realized he'd lived his life. He'd done what he wanted to do, and none of that is worth selling your soul for. And he was ready to go, and I think he probably realized more about the meaning of life that God has given us. Overall, I think the film was a lot about gifts you've been given and which path you decide to take. But as it mentioned in the start of the film, the very first opening scene was about how music is an art that connects people across cultures and across time periods, but it also attracts evil. We have to protect our gifts, and we have to be very strong spiritually, because when you have something special, the enemy will try to use that for his own good. But of course, everybody's going to have their own interpretation of this film. As a Christian, that's just what I got out of it personally. But what I would say is just go watch this film, make the decision for yourself, but also as a film itself, as an entertainment, I think it was very, very well done, and it was so good to see an original film in cinemas again. So big congrats to Ryan, Michael B. Jordan, and the whole team on such an incredible film. It's already breaking records everywhere, and I can't wait to see what this team continues to make in the future. Thanks for watching. Let us know your thoughts down below.
Love you.